Welcome, everybody. Another edition of Phone Booth Fighting. Of course, the never-ending Corona Quarantine Chronicles series. We're not in studio. We normally are at the Bent Pixel Studio here in suburban Las Vegas. Hopefully, we'll be back in there soon. But for now, he's at his house and I'm at my house. We're only about 5 miles apart from each other. But it seems like a world away during these solitary times. But Frank... decided to include a friend on this episode. You recognize Corey Forrester over there to the left side of the screen.
Good seeing, Corey.
1/3 of the well-read comedy crew, along with Trey Crowder and Drew Morgan. Check out their podcast, Well-Read Comedy Podcast. And Corey and Trey and Drew have been on the show a number of times before. But, Frank, we're rolling in Corey today because I turned you... Well, I mean, this is not news, so everybody's talking about it. But a couple days ago, I told you, run, don't walk to your Netflix app and watch Tiger King in its entirety. And Corey and I were talking about it, and he finished it too. In fact, he's on his... I think he's rewatching it, right? You're doing deep research now, notations?
I'm rewatching it because of this quarantine. Me and the guys have a lot more free time, and we were like, my buddy DJ brought up. He's like, "Man, we episode mini-series podcast like a retrospect of this shit." Mm-hmm. And as soon as he said that, like literally 5 minutes later, I was in front of my TV with a notebook, and it took me. I watched the first episode again. It took me 4.5 hours to watch the first episode because of how many times I had to pause and go, "All right, we got to talk about this. Okay, we got to talk about this." I've got a Google Doc going where I've got, like, here's the characters in order of appearance. Very bored during this time. Character in order of appearance. Here's the location. Here's a plot point we're going to talk about. Here's how this relationship goes. So, like, we're going to try to do something really cool with it. And, again, and it's the – I mean, it doesn't feel like work because, Jesus Christ, I could watch this crazy motherfucker all day.
Actually, you know what was funny? Yes, was I think it was Wednesday night or I think Thursday when we were talking about – you told me, Richard, to watch it. So it was Friday or whatever day afterwards, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, "Yeah, honey, let's watch this with my wife and I." It wasn't until about 1 a.m. we finished it, like all just binge watched the hell out of it. I woke up the next day and I was like, I'm actually kind of sad there's not more episodes.
I know.
I'm disappointed. Like, I got to know now what happens. Like, is he going to, I feel like there has to be another addition to this because, with him testifying to PETA and maybe as a witness and all these other guys, behind the scenes that, it looks kind of, fishy about how he got set up with the hitman.
It's bizarre, man. I saw today where he is threatening to sue Netflix for like $500 million and he is demanding a presidential pardon because, like, of course he is.
Well, listen, he can demand it and I can't swear for sure he isn't going to get it. Like,
you know what? That's why I'm sitting there. I can see Trump really just keying in on this guy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
This guy's going to be the director of wildlife in Trump's cabinet next year.
Oh, shit. All right. Now
he's tremendous. He's got great big cats. He's got 227 cats. Are you kidding me? In Oklahoma, who has that? No one has.
All right, now what we're talking about is a Netflix series, Tiger King. It's a limited series. You've probably heard other people talking about it before us, but we've all seen it, and we're going to be talking about what happened in this series. So let me just say this. If you haven't seen it, you don't want any spoilers, maybe pause the episode now, go watch it. You're going to watch it all probably in one night like we all did, and then come back and
I don't know anybody
listen
who
to the
hasn't
episode.
watched it all in one day, to be honest with you.
No, my butt Trey broke it up between 2 days, and the only reason is because he has kids and they're all in there together, I guess. But like, because for me, it was like your situation. Me and my wife sat down at lunch. I'd heard about it, and at 12, I said, "Let's put this on." As we put it on at 12, and at 7 o'clock, we were still sitting there. I was like, "Can I get up and pee now? Like, what's happening?"
The thing that I can tell you about it, if you're just about to start this thing, is that, tell me if I'm wrong, every 20 minutes, a new batshit crazy character gets introduced.
Yeah.
Every 20 minutes, and it lasts until the end of the whole damn...
Well, to add to that are introduced at the beginning, that you don't realize how batshit crazy they are until later on. Like, it's like, okay, this person you thought was just a little, like, eccentric.
Yeah.
they're a stone cold fucking killer that fucking fed her husband to the fucking tigers. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like that way where like if you rewatch Game of Thrones, you're on a couple episodes and you see somebody before they go through this 7-season transition. You go, oh man, I forgot that I thought they were good.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like what the fuck was I thinking?
Because at first, Joe, the guy, Joe Exotic, you're like, all right, man, this guy's king scumbag of the year, right?
Yeah.
And then as you're watching, I'm like, by the time it's over with, I'm rooting for the dude. I'm like,
yeah,
please come back with a hung jury. Like, let this guy get away with it.
Yeah, like he's still very much a bag of shit, but like,
absolutely.
But if the whole thing is about bags of shit and somebody has to win, I hope this bag of shit wins.
That's exactly how I was
yeah.
thinking about,
yeah.
It is like white trash Game of Thrones. I told Jennifer I was trying to find one redeeming character in the entire thing. And the only one that I so far couldn't just totally write off as a scourge is that one that one blonde burnout dude that describes everybody that worked at that place.
His name is fuck me.
The long blonde hair.
Yeah, he's at the very beginning. He has one of my favorite quotes, which is he comes in immediately and he goes, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. Before I got this job, I was at the end of my rope, and I found out about it on Craigslist, and I looked at it and I was like, well, fuck. I ain't never done anything like this before. Hell, let's do it. And now look at me. I'm doing tiger shows.
So look at me now. Why sitting
like y'all thought I wasn't gonna be shit. Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me. Like, yeah, no, he didn't do anything. I mean, I'm on a rewatch now, so I might see something. But in my opinion, that guy's pretty all right.
Yeah, he seems to be the only one I could find. And all right, well, let's just start. So you got this guy.
Yeah,
you got Joe Exotic who lived. And by the way, this thing is not just set in one location. He's in Oklahoma. A bunch of these other players are in Florida. Frank, at one point, Las Vegas makes a cameo. Las Vegas gets involved. And that area of Thackerville, Oklahoma, up there by the WinStar Casino, that's very near where I'm from, just across the border in Fort Worth, Texas. So I'm very familiar with that area. He opens up he just owns a bunch of tigers and lions and stuff. And the crazy thing about it is I think a lot of people, maybe before they watch this, don't realize how easy it is to own exotic animals. And let me just make no mistake about this. I am 100% fundamentally opposed to this. This to me is an example, a living example of why this should not be allowed, because we can't do anything about idiots like this roaming among us, but we definitely don't need to, there's things we don't need to load them up with, and killer beasts is one of them.
Yeah, I agree. Some people shouldn't have a tiger. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, right.
You know what, so if I had the financial means, like if I was a Shaquille O'Neal, I would be lying to you if I said I would be tempted.
Me and Trey were talking about it last night, and he's like, tell me you wouldn't want a fucking tiger. I said, the only way I would ever want a tiger is if I also could afford someone to be there and take care of my tiger.
I mean. If I had the financial means.
Yeah, because
the tiger has a hell of a life, like those ones that Cuban had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his setup, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, because what they say, like you can't, unless you can afford, if you drive your Rolls Royce, then you can't actually afford a Rolls Royce because you're supposed to have somebody drive you. That's how I feel. If I had enough money to have somebody take care of my tiger, hell yeah. But like, dude, I can't take care of my fucking self, let alone a goddamn tiger. That sumbitch said that if he fed them tigers nothing but cows, he would need 30 cows a day, which translates roughly to 10,365 cows a year. Yes, I've been doing deep dive shit on this. It's going to be a great podcast. But that's insane to me. Like, there's no fucking way I could do it. And I also feel like most of the time, the type of person probably shouldn't have a tiger. If you got that in you, that's like, I need a fucking tiger. It's like, I don't know. Like, you ever heard somebody talk about how they want a rocket launcher? It's never some rocket scientist. It's like, I would really just like to go out and responsibly shoot a rocket into something. That's a fucking crazy person.
Well, as somebody on a smaller level, as you both know, that has been intricately involved in pit bull rescue, The problems aren't the pit bulls. The problems are the Joe types that come along that want to own them, that think it defines them somehow.
Well, if I may for a second, tigers are a bit different than pit bulls, I guess.
Oh, they are.
But yeah, no. But yes, like a road tiger. It's not like, oh, the tiger would normally not eat your fucking granny's leg off. It's just it had a bad owner, you know. But like, yes, I agree. You shouldn't. That's just insane.
But you see what I'm saying? It's like
It's
there's
insane.
something like psychologically with the people that want them. There's something other than just I want to care for this animal. It's something about. Like I said, it somehow plays a role in defining them. And it seems like every one of the people involved in this thing will readily acknowledge that exotic animal people are fucking weirdos. Like they'll say that about themselves.
Yeah, the quote from the very beginning, which I think the director made a great choice by having that chubby dude come on. He said, he goes, monkey people are strange. Sure, monkey people are weird, but big cat people are backstabbing fucking assholes. And he said it with such conviction, like everybody knows, big cat people, they're fucking backstabbing assholes. I'm like, well, I did not know that, but I'm in.
That's me about it. I kept sitting there thinking, is it like, I was like, if I was ever down in Florida, or would I go to one of these? I'm like, yeah, I would like to see a tiger up close like that. But under situations where it's like, all right, some bars, handlers around.
Yeah.
You couldn't get me to go into a parade holding one on a leash. So I'm like, wow, there's a lot of factors that you guys can't control, right? He loses his mind. Like, he's a 400-pound cat. Like, I had cats before I met Jen. That's one thing I sat, she's allergic to them. So, my mom inherited cats after I got together with my wife. And so I told my wife that I looked over him. I've been attacked by a 10-pound cat just playing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine having a 400-pound cat come after you. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, like, you have zero chance,
No, absolutely. It's like that Chris Rock bit when Siegfried or Roy, I don't remember which one, the tiger, mauled him or whatever, and they were like, the tiger went crazy, and Chris Rock's like, no, it didn't. The tiger went tiger. Are you shitting me?
Well, I've heard Mike Tyson talk about when he owned tigers, that one time of them laid on top of him, and he just had to lay there and wait for the tiger to have to get up and go pee or something. Like, that's Mike Tyson. Yeah. He's like, there's nothing I'm going to be doing here except laying underneath this tiger. Well, I was, I'm watching, personally rooting for all people to be mauled. That's the animal advocate in me. But I also know how to be entertained by white trash. So, okay, so let's see. So there's Joe Exotic.
Well, that's why you brought me on, to be the white trash correspondent.
Actually, one guy that I didn't think was that much of a scumbag was the producer guy.
Yeah.
As far as characters, I actually kind of felt bad for him when obviously the guy Joe sabotaged the building and had all the, he got pissed off, had the tape and killed the crocodiles.
I feel bad for him to an extent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this dude was like a hardcore producer. He'd done like, a Dateline, all this shit back. Like, and how does that guy not back his shit up? So I do feel bad for him that all his stuff got destroyed. But at the same time, I'm like, dog, what are you talking? But yeah, he's gotten royally fucked. Like, he lost all that. Like, didn't they?
But as far as like shady characters, like everybody else, I'm like, man, all these other people, they're super interesting, but I'm glad there's a screen between me and them. Like, I would never want to be, hey, we're going to go eat dinner with so-and-so. I'm like, no, that's the type of person you really want in your life, to have your phone number in their cell phone,
It's so,
but that guy, I'm like, everybody else, I would keep it definitely anonymous with.
It's so funny Corey says that, because that is the podcaster in both of us, to watch that tragedy and really think, man, you can get like 5 terabytes of hard drive, $100. Like, how do you not have all that backed up? Yeah.
Amazon, it'll be there in 2 fucking days free, man.
All right, so I'm trying to think. We're jumping all around, but I'm trying to think about the order of the characters. All right, so obviously everything always comes back to Joe Exotic. First off, because see, Frank and I have tabled all discussion about this. We have not talked about this so far. Frank, what did you think of Joe Exotic's choices in that unconventional marriage of his that he had?
I was actually impressed, because I kept thinking, I'm like, man, this guy, when you first see the kids that I'm like, wow, those are 2, decent looking guys, and especially the kid that ended up having the tragedy. I'm like, wow, like, this dude's pulling those guys. And then the more they're talking, I'm like, oh, wow. If there's never been an expression that meth is a hell of a drug,
yes, buddy,
this fits it. I'm like, wow, man, I will never try meth because it convinced these two straight guys. Not only do like you hear like, oh, I'll suck your dick, I'm like, these dudes got fucking married, like tattooed fucking shit on their bodies. Yeah. Like are being paraded around as like, hey, this is my fuck buddy. Wow, like meth is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, I also love that his first husband, John Finlay, who he was with from 2003 to 2014, he just decided, yeah, no, I'm not going to get a shirt for the interview. Fucking let it roll. Let's just do it like this. You don't get all these tattoos and then put on a shirt. I got a shirt put on me. Do you understand? I paid a lot for this shirt.
There was a lot of shirtlessness in that series. Yeah. And then also, like, it was amazing to me how...
I wish I would have started this off shirtless. I think we missed a good opportunity.
It was amazing to me too, like how you get so immersed in what's going on that I honestly, I mean, they had to cut that lesbian zookeeper 3 or 4 times before I realized that she had limbs gnawed off by tigers. I didn't even notice it at first. Yeah.
Came back to work 3 days later.
Well, and then that was the thing I was thinking about when going back to what I said earlier about the comfort of people. If I brought my kids and my wife, like, hey, we're going to see tigers, and the guy that walks out, a tiger on a leash, comes out on prosthetic legs, you ain't getting out the door, buddy. I'm okay, man. No, it was a freak. What was it? Zip lining accident. I'm all. You work at a fucking wild animal zoo. You have 2 fake legs. Unless you tell me you were in the military, I ain't buying that shit.
Yeah, this is a hell of a coincidence.
Legs, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
All right, now what did you guys think about? What were your first impressions of Carol? Because I love the fact that she was painted initially as the heroine, which from the advocacy side, I don't like the fact that she was originally involved in breeding them. But at least at this point, she's not. What I like to think in my head is that breeding the original husband was on board with. She didn't like the breeding, and so she fed him to the tigers, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I'm all right with it. He seemed like he had a good run.
Yeah.
You know what? I think she's still a piece of shit. I think that she's okay with breeding it because she was young enough that she needed that to maintain her income. And now I think she's just found a niche that she can make money. She goes, look, I have tigers. They live up to 20 years. She's in her late 50s, early 60s. She's like, I'm not outliving any. I don't need any new cubs to replenish my zoo. By the time the tigers I have come of age, I'm out of here. I'm a millionaire. I think she just is an opportunist that saw an opportunity and is just as much of a piece of shit as she ever was.
I think she's honestly, arguably, for my money, a bigger piece of shit. And the reason is because I think that she's doing the exact same thing that everyone else is doing. But at least they are like, yeah, we're doing this. Whereas she's like, no, that she's like, the difference between me and a zoo is that I'm trying to exterminate the problem that a zoo creates. And she's like, then she has this one vignette where she's like, tigers do not belong in cages. And then we cut directly to her walking by her fucking tigers in cages. It's like, what are you fucking talking about?
Out of all the zoos they showed, she had the most piece of shit setup out of all of them.
Agreed. And then she's walking around filming all her customers talk about how fucking great she is and like, oh, this is the Taj Mahal of sanctuaries. Carol, you're doing such a good thing. She's got all these fucking volunteers. She don't pay anybody shit. She's making millions. Dude, she sucks.
Well, I mean, obviously her whole character is a phenomenal manipulator. At first, I just thought she was the craziest queen of all the cat ladies. You know what I mean? Like all the cat print. I'm like, you're showing up to go meet people in Congress and dressed like that. And then I was like, oh, she's just, you see her, you look in her eyes, like, holy shit. I've worked at a strip club for 8 years. Like, that's the look right there. Like, that's the crazy. But then we find out what she did with her husband. I'm like, and she gets away with this shit and she manipulates. Like, I'm a good person. I'm like, no, you're actually the biggest piece of shit of all of them.
Oh, yeah. When she first shows up and she's got the flowers around her head and she's just staring at the camera with these dead eyes and a gray tooth, I was like, my God, this lady, I've seen that look before, and it's usually followed by me getting punched in the face while I'm asleep.
Well, I like the fact that even after they explain how the second husband is missing, the first husband was missing, They talk about how she met the first husband, where the first husband picked her up hitchhiking. Or she was already...
Yeah, he was driving drunk down the road.
Yeah, wait, that was her second husband. He was already married to somebody else before that. That's what it was. Yeah. And left the
kids high and dry and ran off with her.
Yeah.
You know, in all honesty, I don't feel that bad for him, to be honest. You know
I don't either.
I'm like, you left your wife and kids for another woman, a younger girl, and you left off, and the bitch was crazy, and you ended up fucking like, you sit there and go, hey, man, don't stick your dick in crazy. Like, there's the poster child right here. She fed your ass to tigers.
Yeah, like nobody, I mean, I'll go on record as saying that nobody should get fed to tigers, but but I stand by it. But if there's gonna be people get fed to tigers, I'm glad it was that fucking dude. Like he set himself up to get fed to a tiger.
By the way, this is where Corey and I say we agree to disagree, because I see plenty of people in here who I'm fine with being fed to tigers. Now, Now, what about we haven't talked about yet is Doc, the gray-haired ponytail.
Dr. Bhagavan Antle from Myrtle Beach, and of course his grandfather guru Shamiki something. That dude's a fucking trip, man. He looked like John Cowan from the early days of Newgrass Revival.
I get that. It's how about the fact that the guy he had Frank such a weird communal sex cult setup thing going on that the tigers were almost just kind of a background to that.
Yeah, definitely. At first he was one of the guys I plugged as a good guy. I'm like, all right, this guy, he is what he is. As far as again the bags of shit that are in this show. But he seems decently intelligent. There doesn't. I mean, his zoo, they looked like everything was happy and well fed, and just the way it was portrayed, it's like, all right, they're maintained at a high level there. But when you find out that, I use the tigers to lure in young women, and then take their virginity and fucking and have created a cult, and I'm just sitting there going, holy shit, how did I go from tigers to fucking a sex cult? And the two seem pretty intertwined as you were going through. You're like, it's a common theme amongst tiger owners. I'm like, crazy shit.
Yeah, I was about to say, how does tigers and sex cults go together? Then by the end, you're like, man, if I ever see anyone that owns a tiger, I bet they also have a sex cult.
Yeah,
100% in some way.
Well, it's like Adam Carolla has that line about, all cults just start off with the guy that can play a little acoustic guitar. And then next thing you know, he's fucking everybody's kids.
Yes, pretty much.
All right, so there's that dude, and we see when you talk about another installment of this, we don't know what's happening with that guy, because at the end, his place got raided in December of last year, and it sounds like that hasn't really come to trial yet. So we'll have to see what happens with Doc. I mean, he may be in some deep trouble himself.
Oh, the Dr. Bhagavan Antle spinoff is going to be pretty terrific.
Yeah.
I don't think you could be in this industry in any form and just not have. I mean, you're dealing with these large. I mean, now it's like, well, after a while, that statement was actually very eerie to me. Out of all the statements, that one certain age, you just have a bill now. You have it's a liability, no longer an asset. And I was like, oh, well. Shit, that's not a good thing. And I mean, that's definitely going to come to a head. And sure enough, you find out that they have to dispose of the animals. I'm like, all right, well, any part of me that wanted to like any of you now, you just lost me there.
It's over. It's over.
Well, and that's okay. And right there, that's what makes these people societal liabilities, because exactly what you did, Frank, that is that's the same metaphor for children they have. That's the same metaphor for their first, second, and third wives. Everybody ages out of cuteness and just in their mind becomes something that, I shouldn't have to be tethered anymore or have any responsibility for. And my position is no, actually not. You're making this lifetime commitment here and that's always the problem with people like that, is it's not just the tiger. Like I said, it's the kids, it's every relationship they ever forge and then try to, abdicate responsibility for. And let's get back to pit bulls. I always tell people, like, you see the people who makes the headlines for bad reasons with their pit bull. You read that story, and it's always like, well, I left the toddler unattended next to the pit bull on the chain because I heard Child Protective Services was coming over, and I had to go hire my unregistered gun that was sitting on top of my meth lab. Like, it's just a whole menagerie of shit, that you were up to, causing problems for everybody around you. How about
but
yeah.
Well, real quick, the crazy part though that really actually, like, the one stat that really, like, I was like, you know what, that's kind of a crazy number, because when they said there's 5,000 to 10,000, I don't know if I got the number right at the end of big cats in captivity in the U.S., larger than there are in the wild. I'm like, there's 5,000 to 10,000. Let's just say there's 3,000 or 4,000 owners of large cats in Texas. Mm-hmm. That's a number that blows my mind. That we don't see more accidents occurring. So I mean, I was trying to put those numbers together in my head. Go, how is this not a bigger issue with those numbers as large as they are?
Probably, my guess is because a lot of it probably comes down to when you start charging admission. Because a lot of this is probably just happening in controlled environments, like, there's probably family members walking around with gnawed off limbs all over the place, but because they don't ever invite outsiders onto the property, we're not seeing much of it. The thing that all these people had in common was they were charging admission.
Right, and then you got that dude in Zanesville, Ohio that just let all his go, and then they slaughtered like 48 monkeys and tigers and bears and shit. And then they showed the picture. That was disturbing. I didn't like seeing that.
It was terrible.
No, that bugged me too.
That just goes to show you there's somebody who, for whatever reason, a mental switch goes off, and then it's too late. Then there's no controlling the situation, because again, that guy was bestowed that kind of power and then went haywire.
Well,
it's
I
actually
don't think they could have handled it any other way, to be honest with you.
They had to do that.
I ran through, scenarios through my mind. I'm like, okay, you're a sheriff. You come out there and you have your men, and you see the situation. People are like, oh, can you
they did the right thing.
And shit. I'm all, dude, this has gone too far out of our hands. Like, at this point, this is the only thing we can do.
It sucks, but like when you're talking about there's children and there's innocent people, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But like, it's, in my opinion, like like Carol and all these, it's super analogous to like gun control in a way with this dude, where like every single one of them is arguing on the other side of like, well, no, I'm a responsible tiger owner. See, I take care of my tigers. I should be. And then you got this dude who, like, it's that old Jim Jeffries bit. He's like, that's the thing about crazy people. They don't know they're crazy. Everyone thinks and so then you've got this dude who, it's like, at one point, I'm sure he thought he was a responsible tiger and monkey owner, and then he snapped and let him loose, and we have a fucking shootout at the OK Corral with baboons in the middle of Ohio.
No, and I
don't know, man.
And I'm with you too at that point. That's I agree. There's nothing you could do at that point, and that's the problem with giving all that power, because it should have never been allowed to happen to begin with. Because if you allow it to happen, then it's going to be a no-win situation. When push comes to shove. How about, all right, the other two, let's see, well, there's more than two people we haven't talked this thing yet. But how about the guy that shows up about midway through the series that's clearly sponsored by Affliction? The other, a limited series is good when I bring up the old middle-aged swinger dude, and you have to say which one. He's the second one that comes up, and he comes in, he swoops in, and he's got a bunch of rented sports cars, and he convinces Joe Exotic that he is going to save his fledgling business, right, with all his cash.
This same dude who was bringing tiger cubs in suitcases to the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, just hauling in tiger cubs in suitcases, not getting caught at all until later when he was in his room, which I didn't understand. Like, Can you imagine carrying 2 suitcases full of wild fucking animals through a casino? Like, if you're in a casino and you even look like you're counting cards, some old Chinese lady in a visor will come tackle you immediately. Yet this dude was just able to Dr. Doolittle his ass right past the fucking solitaire and everything, no problem, and then have some fucking Tiger Cub sex orgy. That was another thing that was hilarious. He was like, yeah, I mean, you get the girls, they're going to want to see the tigers, and then, you know, you fuck them. And I'm like, why don't they just pet the tiger and leave?
Yeah, no, my wife had to chime in on that part. She's all, look, tigers are cool and all, but I'm pretty sure it's the fact you're in a penthouse and you're flashing around, you're looking like a millionaire. Just that tends to pull the young dumbass girl out of a person. You know what I mean? Like,
it's the fact that you could afford the tigers that they care about.
Exactly. Yeah, and the one thing about him, I think the reason why I like Joe is sometimes you see crazy people that they're obviously unaware. So they do psychotic shit, but you're like, yeah, he's not a psycho, he's crazy. They're not aware of their situation. With the guy that was it Schmeling, or who was the Vegas guy? What was his name? I forgot.
Kenny.
He is not crazy at all.
No.
He is absolutely aware of who and what he is and knows all the pieces on the table. Dude.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Dirtbag, but very intelligent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, he also is the guy who introduces the hit character to the scenario, right?
Yeah, James, right?
Yeah, that was his felonious henchman that comes along. So this guy is lurking in about the last third of our series, and he's the one who it is asserted that Joe Exotic paid $10,000 to go to Florida to kill Carol. Is that what we all think happened?
I kind of think it both did and didn't. Here's what I think. I think it's very similar to the Tanya Harding situation, where she knew, she'd probably mentioned it, and then some stuff got put in place, and then by the time it got put in place, she couldn't do shit about it. I feel like that Joe Exotic dude was probably just saying shit like that all the time, and then something happened, and it's like, oh, fuck, I didn't mean today, you know? So I don't know, man.
No, and I think actually that's exactly what happened with a little bit more sinister. I think Kenny and James, when they figured out the feds were on them, were like, hey, you know, so-and-so paid, you know, my guy $3,000 to get off the property, have him get on the phone and say that he got that money to go kill somebody. Like, well, he never showed up. That's okay. We'll even have him say he did go there and just failed to do so. Because his testimony, remember, I went to Florida, and the other one goes, no, I stopped in South Carolina and I just partied. And I'm all, well, it sounds more like someone just paid you, here's $3,000, go home, you're a pain in the ass. We hate each other, which was established from both ends. And it's like, here's your severance pay, $3,000, get the fuck out of here. And they're like, you know what, we can backwrite this story that money wasn't the severance pay. That money was for you to, you know, take a hit on somebody because you're dumbass, fuck up about how you would like to pay someone. Because when the opportunity did come for him to actually put down and pay, here, a guy goes, I am your dude, I'm your killer, give me the money and I'll go fucking do it. He doesn't even haggle a price, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, give you $5,000 now, $5,000 later. The guy kind of is like, I'm not going to do it. When it came down to it, he showed to me that you're not that much of a killer because, you know, it's like a guy talking shit. Yeah, I would do that. All right, here's the contract. Do it.
Right.
No, you kind of called me on my bluff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you know, I was boistering and just belly aching, and it made, you know, but I'm actually not going to pull the trigger or have anybody else do it, you know?
Yeah, because, I mean, at that point, an attempt, and he's not even in Florida, like, what's stopping anyone from just saying, hey, this dude gave me $2,000 to go kill this lady. Go lock his ass up.
Yeah, I thought about that. I can go to a seminar. People pay me at the end and leave and go, hey, we paid Mayor to go ahead and kill this guy. They're like, really? Hey, did the guy give you money? Well, yeah, but for this. No, they're saying it was for this. I'm like,
yeah.
What the hell are you talking about? Now it's your word versus them on what the money was for.
Well, and it's very possible, like with a dude like you, good reputation, good head on your shoulders, not insane, you know, that's not going to fly. But you look,
and I'm not talking every day about how I want someone to die.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because, like, for this guy, but it is possible that someone smart like Kenny can go, look at all this fucking circumstantial evidence that he has given everyone for free. If we want this dude out of our life, all we have to do is say this. They're going to believe it because he literally he dressed a dummy up like her and shot her in the head on a fucking internet show. Like, it's open and shut. This dude's insane. Like, it's going to happen. So, yeah, man, I mean,
the guy Kenny was definitely trying to set him up. I mean, if I walk in and I sit down, I'm like, hey, Richard, we're going to tape a little camera over in the corner, and I'm taping Richard. I obviously have a sinister, like, hey, what's that? No, it's not a camera, but hey, remember that one time you said you hated your wife, your girl, you were going to split up? Like, and then it's like, wait a minute, that's called entrapment. You can't really go and start, like when the guy goes, that's not me, like when he was trying to defend his actions, Kenny, and he was sitting there going, just because I might have led you to say certain things on camera, I'm like, holy shit, dude, like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, here's the deal. Even if legit what we're saying is how it happened and Joe Exotic never actually gave money to kill this lady, he still should be in jail counts of harassment and threats to murder somebody. So it's not like he shouldn't be sitting there. It's just maybe he shouldn't be sitting there for the exact reason he's in there. But I mean, fuck it. They got Capone on tax evasion. What are you going to do?
Yeah, to me, the part where I was okay with him doing time was when they said, oh, the guy, the first guy we talked about, the first deadbeat that showed up, the zoo manager, he's like, yeah, I was there and, I witnessed him killing the tigers. I'm like, oh, okay, now any sympathy I would have had for you sitting inside of a jail cell, you lost me, man. You putting tigers, killing them that way, like in any form, if it wasn't purely self-defense, you got in this industry, you got to figure out what to do and take care of this animal. You benefited when it was a cub, then yeah, it is a liability. You got to take care of that motherfucker the rest of its life.
Yeah. That's yours, man.
Yeah, you got into it. It's like having kids. I can't sit there and go, you know what? Ronan's 10. He's not really turning a profit anymore. Fuck this shit. You're like,
getting so cute and cuddly anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I'll get him back when he's 18.
Tigers are not like leading actresses in Hollywood. You got to keep them the whole time.
That is
good. Thank you.
Yeah, and Corey brings up too, it's like the fact that the guy, not only talked about this publicly, but did it so much. I mean, imagine saying to Joe Exotic, hey, let's rerun that one episode. Let's rerun that episode of your cable access television show where you threaten that woman's life. And you'd be like, shit, which one? Like, I mean, that's every week.
Yeah.
That was like was the run sheet every week for the show was to do that. So you're digging a hole right there.
I mean, yeah, with the snakes, when he had the poisonous snakes he's holding up, like, we're going to put them in your mailbox. I'm like, bro.
That was one of my favorite scenes because he's like, he picks up, he goes, this right here, it's Carol Baskin's birthday. I'm going to put these snakes in her mailbox. And then they cut to her going, and I go out to my mailbox and I open it and it literally exploded with snakes. Like a literal pot, like open the Cracker Jack thing and the fucking snakes come out.
Well, how about this? How about it wasn't even her birthday? It was her birthday next month. That's a stretch. You can't even wait for boy, you want to talk about forcing a connection. Look up and see when her birthday is. It's next month. That's close.
And when that happened, I'm like, that to me is an example of what the murder was. Is that I don't think he put snakes anywhere near her. I think the dumbass liked the attention, was boisterous, made outlandish claims, and then now all she has to do is, oh yeah, I went to my mailbox and there was a fucking snake there.
Right.
You're like,
right.
Huh.
Right, because
what a coincidence.
Did he have a henchman down there? Yeah.
We got a guy saying that he's going to do that to you.
Yeah.
The lines, you made it so easy to draw.
Yeah. Do we feel...
Yeah,
do we feel like, though, guys, that under different circumstances, had things not taken the horrific turn that they had, that maybe in a different life, Joe Exotic would have had a more successful country music singing career?
Well...
I don't even think it was that bad.
Well, it wasn't him singing.
No. What?
Oh, then I
he Milli Vanilli'd. Yeah, he had somebody doing it. Really, to me, the takeaway is we've painted this picture of this dude and all these vile things that he's done, and that he's threatened to kill people, and he's got. To me, the craziest thing is that he wasn't elected governor of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I forgot about his.
Why wouldn't he?
I forgot about his political run. That one.
Isn't that crazy that you could forget that this guy ran for fucking governor of?
Yes.
Yeah, got third.
Yeah, you forget that, and that campaign commercial he had where he's like, shit, I'm broke and I've been to prison. Like, he's running down all the things that are going wrong in his life, and that was.
I mean, and he got not anything close, but I mean, he had like 5 or 6% what there was a stat. I forgot the number, but I looked at it, I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit. There was a percentage of the population to be in. Wow.
Tells it like it is, man. He tells it like it is.
And then
I hate that expression.
I hate it too. It's so fucking stupid.
I know. I hate that. It just speaks their mind. I'm all, that's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually find that rarely people that use that phrase should probably be speaking their mind.
Dude, most fights are started because some asshole spoke their mind. Like sometimes you just shouldn't do it. Got in as a kid is because I just spoke my mind. Like, so, my mom would get up. She would ground me, and I'd be like, "You fucking suck, Mom." And what? She's gonna come over there to backhand me, and my dad's supposed to go, "Hey, he's just telling it like it is. The kid's just speaking his mind. I mean, you got to respect it." No, fuck you. Sometimes you got to shut the fuck up and be civil.
Yeah, what I really like about this kid is he shakes things up in this household. We need somebody to shake things up. No, you're absolutely right about that. And to me, that makes you even dumber for supporting him. Because it's not like the guy thought up a good lie. He told you how crazy he was from the get-go, and you still supported it. Well, how did you find him singing, Corey? They didn't say that in the series.
No, they didn't say that to me independently. Yeah, so inside source, man. Dave Meltzer sent it to me. Inside source. No, man. Like, we tweeted that we're going to do this series, and people were so hype about it that I don't get a lot of fan messages. Usually a lot of hate. But it was flooded with people who say, see this.
Corey, I know one particular prostitute I used to employ who would disagree with that.
That is very, very accurate, and a shout out to Skylar. Oh shit! I just lost my complete train of thought. What were we talking about? Country. You said
your inbox.
Oh yeah. With people that were just like, "Hey man, first off, I found this link. Here's what he's up to." Some people were like, "Hey, I'm from there. Like, we went to that fucking zoo. Will you talk to me?" Somebody was like, "Hey, I did. I was involved in a reality show with Dr. Antler. Do you want to talk to me?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" And all these people are like, "Man, you have no idea." These people that live in Wynwood, Oklahoma, they're like, everyone's freaking out about this show. We've been screaming it the whole fucking time. We're like, y'all have got to hear about this fucking lunatic. But yeah, I got this one link sent to me that was like, he had paid a guy to just sing all those things. And
so that means when he was at, probably the hardest thing I had to watch out of everything, the time where I was like, and there was a lot of cringeworthy moments, obviously, right? But the one where I was like, oh, dude, you know what? This isn't cool anymore. Like, I'm laughing and like.
The funeral?
The funeral, when he started singing at the fucking funeral and the mom is in the front row, I'm like, oh my God, like, what is that? I'm like, if I go to hell, there's an afterlife and they have a hell for me. I just have to be her. My kid is that kid there, and the fucking spouse is singing at the fucking funeral, and I'm just looking, I'm like going, what the fuck am I watching right now?
And talking about his nuts.
Yeah. Oh, that was the right. He goes, oh, he just had to make me laugh, like his speech.
He had he just come in there and nuggets on my face. We just had such a beautiful relationship. He was just the sweetest boy. It was, and then 2 months later he gets married, and the fucking mom is there at the wedding, and then they cut to her, and she's like, it really depicts that as I was shown at the wedding. It's like, yeah. It does seem that you supported it if you went to the wedding. I've not gone to weddings of people that I love because I didn't want to go. So you didn't have to fucking go to that wedding at all.
God. How about the fact that at the funeral, he wore the same priest collar that he was wearing in the Here Kitty Kitty video?
Yeah. Yeah, when he said that about the nuts on the face, I'm sitting there. That was the lowest point. I'm like, that woman's son is dead. And that's the post-mortem speech, the eulogy that's being given right now. I'm like, there's no worse hell. Like, oh my God, this ranks up there with like creative punishments. I'm like, I don't know if someone would write this in a movie. And if you said this character did this, you're like, you can't even write that. No one would ever fucking do that.
This show actually, like, because I usually have a problem when people, like, as a writer myself, when someone goes, oh, you can't write that, I always am like, well, yeah, you could. Like, that, they wrote Lord of the Rings, like, people can write shit. However, with this particular thing and my experience in Hollywood, no, you couldn't, because, like, they keep talking about, oh, they need to do a movie and make Danny McBride play this guy. I'm like, first off, you can't do that. Anybody better than what we just saw. It's not going to happen. Secondly, in my experience, I don't have anybody in my life as crazy as Joe Exotic, but I've got some people who, like, you know, they're in the ballpark, I guess, and I've written them into stuff, and I've written their character exactly who they were, and I've written lines that I've heard them say verbatim. Like, none of this is made up, and I'll send it to, like, the showrunner or the studio executive, and they'll be like, well, we got to cut this. And they're like, this isn't realistic. I was like, it fucking happened 3 days ago when I was home for Dad's birthday. Like, I saw this shit. So, like, no, none of this would have made it past the drawing. Too wild. It's like, it does have to be the reality of it. It's crazy.
I mean, there was the guy talking about the funeral scene that you show. That guy blew his brains out basically on camera. You can't see it because of where he's sitting, but you see that reaction from the guy who was sitting right in front of him when it happened. And it's like, I mean, we're at the end of this episode, and that's the first time that got brought up. The fact that you actually see that as part of this series. Holy cow.
So going back to what I said originally, so that means at the funeral, after that eulogy, he lip synced too on top of that.
And now that may have actually been him, but I'll have to go back and watch. He probably just sounds different, I guess. I think it's just he had somebody do it different in the studio versus him live. But I mean, that's on. I think that's in like an area on my. I would, buddy. I've got. Listen, I'm gonna send you all.
Yeah, we'll Corey. We will be
very much enjoy. But also, like, I think I lost you there.
Yeah, just for a second. You're back. What were you saying?
I was saying a side note about the libertarian guy who saw that dude shoot himself. One of my favorite things that, again, this is so crazy that you forget these little details. That dude was Joe Exotic's campaign manager, and he had no experience in politics. Right. Joe Exotic picked him to be his campaign manager because he was the ammo manager at Walmart. So in Joe Exotic's mind, he's like, well, he's a manager.
Yeah.
So what's the difference in political manager and ammo manager at the Walmart?
Yeah. And you know what?
That's fucking insane.
What, Corey? You would think that if there was anything that was going to cure a libertarian, it would be being involved in something like that. Like, that guy goes and gets involved in something like that, and you figure he would come out of it going, well, no, okay, we do need some government regulation. He's like, nope, live and let live. Yep, no, this was...
Well, he did say at the end, he's like when they were calling on him to testify or whatever, he's like, don't get me wrong, I'm a libertarian, so it's fuck the government. However, if I got to pick between the government and this dude, then I mean, all right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He did say that. Well, the one thing that I think...
Oh, so we're all on board with the one... Oh,
no, I was just going to say, I think the...
Oh, no, I was going on a different train of thought.
The one question, then, that's going to be hanging over this podcast that we've done here is this explosive allegation that Corey Forrester has made that Joe Exotic was not singing his own music. So I will...
Yeah, and again, I just read that in one thing. It could be bullshit. I read, but like it's one of those situations where you go, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it also be that?
All right. Well, that's one of the reasons.
So on the one thing though, we all do agree that the girl Carol 1,000%
killed the fuck out of that dude.
Yeah, like there's not a doubt. I'm like, dude, you would have to show me video evidence the contrary to even get me starting to debate that she didn't do it.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Like there's no way that a rich man from Florida just wasn't found and is just in Cuba or Puerto Rico with some other lady. Like that absolutely did not happen. His ass got fed to the tigers, and that's just, what are you going to do?
Yeah, or like, we're like, oh, he flew his plane off and crashed. I'm like, well, which plane?
Right.
What plane did he take? Like, I mean, like, there isn't like, it's like, I went down to the dealership, bought a plane, and just took off. I'm like, I'm pretty sure those things are decently kept record of, and then flight patterns, people taking off. I'm like, I realize, radar and people flying under the zone and stuff. I'm like, it just like, really, the guy left all this shit. There's nothing with him. Like,
planes are usually like kept up with, and people notice when they're gone and stuff. It's not like a car that you're like, oh, where did I put my plane? Like that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're still talking about Amelia Earhart still.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Is anybody worried about Carol's current husband? Because that guy,
No,
I mean,
he walks the line, dude. That guy knows to
He
walk
does.
the fucking line.
He does, man. You can tell. That's kind of how you know that he knows she killed that motherfucker. Like
Even
the
his
way,
mannerism, yes.
Yeah,
His
like
hands are on his lap. He's like this, and she's like looking at him. He's talking. You better measure every fucking word you say, buddy, because
Yeah,
you know he's
doesn't-
hungry.
he doesn't talk over her one goddamn time. He waits for his turn. He's just sitting there. He's got his fucking shirt tucked into his goddamn cargo pants like a marked bitch. Like that dude. Now, well,
He knows.
He knows.
He knows. That's a dude that will never step out of line.
all right, Corey. Well, tell everybody when this your own limited series covering this entire saga is going to launch. How are we going to get this?
The launch date is tentative right now, but it will be within the next couple of weeks because we're thinking about, because of how the show worked on Netflix, we're just going to put all of them out at once. Like, we're not going to release it once a week. So we're going to record the 7 episodes starting next week. But like, I'm taking it very, like, we're not just going to get on there and talk, like, free form, talk about the shit. Like, I want these to be good. I want to do deep dives and shit. So like, I'm doing my research. I'm doing like Conrad Thompson type podcast shit. Like, I'm actually taking my notes. I'm doing everything. I'm doing the research, and I want it to be good. So we're going to record the 7 episodes. We're going to do it on Zoom so we can have videos, and we're going to have clips and shit. And I'm not like a professional producer, so this will take me a while. But once there, it's going to be some good shit.
All right,
I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Let us know. We're going to be listening. And Corey, when you start producing all that, back it up, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Some rival podcasts might come over and firebomb your alligator pit next to the studio.
Yeah.
All right, one more time, Corey. Tell everybody, are we good, Frank? You got anything else you wanted to ask Corey or say to him or anything before we wrap this thing up?
Oh, I mean, we could go on forever. I
mean,
know. Like on this topic, I mean, we can go all day long, man.
I know it. We'll probably think of some other stuff that we didn't know. That's why this series keeps on giving. So check it out.
Yeah, I mean, after the trial, we'll have to talk again and give our thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, follow Corey Forrester on, do you see his Twitter handle right there on the screen? And, of course, the Well-Read Comedy podcast with him and Trey and Drew that we're big fans of. So thanks for engaging in some Tiger King talk, Corey. I feel like it's kind of the only thing holding us all together at this fragile time.
You are 100% correct, man. Like, it really is crazy how it came out at the perfect. I mean, I don't know if they planned it to come out during a goddamn pandemic, but it was a gift from God. We all needed something. We all needed a distraction, and this one thing has truly captivated everyone. And it's nice to see. The memes are great. It's just, I mean, you know, it's still depressing as all hell out there. But it has been nice that as a country that is often so divided, we can all come together and go, "Wow, look at this motherfucker."
Yeah, it's that age-old remedy of let's fixate on some people who are like lower evolutionary chain than us to make ourselves feel better about our current situation. All right, for Corey Forrester from the Well-Read Comedy Podcast and for Frank Mir, I'm Richard Hunter, and we'll see you right back here next time for another edition of Phone Booth Fighting.